Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Josh Duggar is back in court today. We are on what I think is his fourth day of this trial. The judge actually estimated that the trial would last anywhere from 5 to 7 days. So we are in our fourth day. I'm thinking by Friday it will be wrapped up and we will be waiting on the jury to make their decision. I wanted to hop on here and give you guys an update of what's going on today inside that courtroom. Also, I will go live tonight to give another update of what happened this evening from about 2 to 5 o'clock when they're going to end for the day. It is a question if Jill will be on the stand today. Jill and Jedediah, they will actually be testifying for the defense. A lot of people were guessing that they would testify for the prosecution, myself included. I thought they would be testifying for the prosecution, especially Jill. But the prosecution, they wrapped up their witnesses today, and the defense started calling their witnesses. And we know they are on that witness list, so it looks like they are on the side of the defense. So let's go ahead and let's get started. It is a lot. I'm going to try to pack it all in really quick so the video is not super long. Also, just a little bit of a warning. I have my son is home today sick. So if you guys hear some doors slamming in the background, I do apologize. He has a heavy hand when it comes to shutting a door. So I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and get into it. Josh once again showed up today with his wife, Anna Duggar, hand in hand. Also, Derek Dillard, who has not missed a day of the trial yet, he showed up today. Joanna, as well as her husband, Austin, they're there. Jessa Seawald, she showed up for the first time. She is in that courtroom today, as well as Jason Duggar, who is Josh's 21-year-old younger brother. He's there today as well. And it is being said, the Sun has someone in there. So does the Ashley Realities Roundup. That's where I'm getting these updates from. And someone from the Sun said that Joanna looks sad in the courtroom, that she does not look happy. She looks very sad, but that Jessa, she seemed to be in high spirits, and she was even seen at times talking to Anna Duggar as well as smiling, and that they are all sitting together on that front row. Derek, Joanna, her husband Austin, Anna Duggar, Jessa, as well as Jed and James were all in that front row today. Also, you guys may hear my dog drinking out of his dog bowl. I apologize for that. So this morning, it started with the prosecutor, Dustin Roberts, calling a man by the name of Clint Branham up to the stand. Clint Branham is a technical cybersecurity worker. From this point on, I will refer to the prosecutor as Roberts and this witness as Branham. So Branham said that he and Josh Duggar were friends, they ran in the same circle, and that they would oftentimes discuss technology as well as politics. He described Josh as more advanced than the average tech user, and he thought that Josh would be comfortable installing his own computer programs. Branham said that he and Josh actually discussed covenant eyes and how to keep people from getting around it. He said that when they had this discussion, Josh seemed disinterested in that conversation. Now, Josh's defense attorney, Travis Story, who I will refer to as Story, cross-examined Branham. Branham said that this conversation with Josh happened in the summer of 2010. He said that Jim Holt was there for that conversation as well. Jim Holt is a longtime friend of Jim Bob Duggar, and also a friend of Branham. So Branham said that he, Josh, and Jim Holt had this conversation about Covenant Eyes back in 2010. Branham explained that he and Josh discussed the Linux as well and how it was a way for people to bypass Covenant Eyes. Story then asked Branham if he thought Josh knew how to write code lines or command codes, and Branham said that he wouldn't be surprised, but he did not know that for sure because Josh never told him that he knew how to write coding. Now, the prosecutor, William Clayman, who I will refer to as Clayman, called Jim Holt to testify. Jim is married to a lady by the name of Bobby Holt. They have 11 children together, and they are lifelong friends of the Duggar family. Jim Holt has known Jim Bob Duggar since he was 11 years old. Josh volunteered for Jim Holt's campaign in the year 2000, 2004, 2006, and a little bit in 2010. Now, Jim Holt testified that he and Josh Duggar talked about the Linux in 2010. He said that Josh asked how to set up a Linux partition. The defense lawyer, Justin Gelfand, obviously Josh's attorney, then cross-examined Holt. And Holt said that Clint Branham actually brought up the Linux conversation and was more tech savvy than he was. but he wasn't so sure about Josh. So Jim Holt testified that he and Josh Duggar did talk about the Linux back in 2010. He said that Josh had asked how to set up the Linux partition, but that the conversation started because Clint Branham actually brought it up, and that Clint Branham was more tech savvy than he, Jim Holt, not Josh Duggar. He said he really wasn't sure about how much Josh knew, but he just knew that Clint Branham was more tech savvy than himself. Now, when the prosecutor Clayman got back up and spoke with Holt again, Jim Holt actually explained that Josh Duggar would help with graphics on the computer and help put together and edit a commercial for Jim Holt when he was younger. So when Josh was younger, he put together this whole commercial for Jim Holt. Now, Josh's attorney then got back up and they talked about whether or not it was on an HP computer or a Mac computer, at which Jim Holt said that it was on a Mac computer. The computer in Josh's office where the images were downloaded, the videos were downloaded, was an HP computer. So I guess they're trying to just let people know, let the jury know, well, yes, Josh, he made a commercial, edited it, put it all together, had the graphics and everything, but that was on a different computer. It was on a Mac computer, not on an HP. Not really sure if there's a whole lot of difference there, but they felt the need to point that out. So next, the prosecution's Carly Marshall called Bobby Holt. I will refer to Carly Marshall as Marshall. Bobby Holt testified that she and her husband had been friends with the Duggars for over 30 years, and their kids had been best friends. She said their oldest daughter was Josh Duggar's girlfriend in November 2002. She said it was formal, and they were only 14 years old. Now, they date or they court with the intent to lead to marriage. Bobby Holt testified that Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar called her and her husband to their home in 2003. The judge then warned the jury of the upcoming child molestation testimony and reminded them that Josh Duggar was not charged. So he knew that's where they were about to go, that they were about to talk about Josh's past molestation scandal, and he warned the jury, like, this is what's coming up, but Josh was never charged, so take that into account. Bobby Holt testified that she and her husband, Jim Holt, went over to the Duggars' house on March 30th, 2003 for an important matter. She said Josh was present for the conversation and was 15 at the time. She said Josh explained that he had one of the little girls, who they refer to as Jane Doe number 4, in his lap during the Bible time and inappropriately touched her chest and her genital area. He confessed that he had touched Jane Doe 1, 2, and 3 on their chest and bottom areas, both on top of and under their clothes while they were sleeping, from when he was 12 years old to the time he was 15 years old. The unnamed Jane Doe 4 was 5 years old at the time. Bobby Holt explained that the plan had been for their oldest daughter and Josh Duggar to get married. She said Jim Bob told them so their daughter would know why the relationship had to end. She said Josh then went to a facility for troubled youth and that she still loves Josh. She actually said on the stand, Josh used to refer to me as Aunt Bobby, and I love Josh. So their daughter was dating Josh. So Jim Bob and Michelle called them over and was like, listen, this is what's going on. So Josh he can't date. He's about to go to this facility for troubled youth. So we need you guys to know why he's having to break up with her. Bobby Holt then continued that in the year 2005, Josh Duggar came to her and spoke more about what happened in the year 2003. She explained that he confessed to the abuse of Jane Doe 4 being worse than he previously revealed, that the inappropriate touching was under her dress, and that he actually took off her underwear. Now, the Sun is not going into any more details about that. They actually say they're not going to, go into it, but that Mrs. Holt seemed pained during her testimony, and that she explained that being on the stand was miserable and hard for her because she still loves Josh and she just didn't want to talk about what he did. The defense attorney, Justin Gelfand, then cross-examined Bobby Holt. Holt said that an investigator for the defense came to her home, but that she chose to pass on speaking. However, Gelfand noted that Holt did speak to the prosecution. He then noted that Josh and the Holt daughter were always around chaperones during courting. Gelfand then brought up the 2003 conversation and said that it was 20 years ago. He also brought up the fact that it was 2 years after the relationship between Josh and Bobby Holt's daughter ended, and asked her why would she believe that Josh would confess to his ex's parents, to which she replied that he just did. I guess there's really no explanation other than he just did it. Bobby Holt confirmed that she had no knowledge of Josh's alleged CP activities in 2019. Carly Marshall for the prosecution then got back up and questioned Bobby Holt again. Holt claimed that she didn't speak with the defense because she wasn't given permission to. She did not clarify who she needed permission from. She just said that she did not have permission to speak to the defense. She claimed that she was allegedly offered money to speak, which gave her concern, but did not clarify if she meant from the defense. Marshall asked if Holt remembered the conversations with Josh Duggar, and Holt said, "You don't forget something like that," and that it completely impacted their families. And I don't know if that was a dig at Jim Bob, because you guys know that Jim Bob at the pretrial, he claimed that he forgot a lot of the details. So I don't know if her saying, "Well, you just don't forget something like that," if that was kind of her way of saying, "I don't believe Jim Bob forgot it either," or just really her explanation. And that's what I believe as well. I don't think you forget something like that. According to the Sun Reporter at the trial, in a short break after the testimony, Josh Duggar actually went over and spoke to his sister, Joanna. For just a short, brief period, Joanna's husband, Austin, was seen rubbing her shoulder and had his arm around her. As they were seen speaking, it said that Anna kind of nodded her head, but didn't really speak too much other than like nodding her head. Josh Duggar was also seen talking to his wife, Anna Duggar, for about 20 seconds, and she was seen holding his hand the whole time, according to the reporter. At this point, the prosecution rested their case. The defense then began their argument with Justin Gelfand calling up Michelle Bush, who is a digital forensic expert. So Michelle Bush claimed that 50% of their cases involve child essay material. She said she examined the MacBook, 5 thumb drives, and SD cards, an iPhone, and an HP desktop for this case. Bush explained that she went to a Homeland Security office to examine the HP for 5 days. She said she found no evidence of child SAM, also known as pornography, on Josh's personal Mac devices. Bush said if it was there at some point and was deleted, she would have seen evidence of it, but she did not. Duggar had the MacBook from 2014 to 2019. Bush said that there were several partitions on the HP desktop, but said that that was normal. She said there was no trace of the child SAM on the Windows side of the partition. They then held a lunch break. It is noted that Jessa Duggar left the courtroom before the lunch break. After the lunch break, Michelle Bush continued to testify. She said the Linux partition was installed on the HP computer on May 13, 2019. The same afternoon, several files were opened from an external thumb drive as well. Defense lawyer Justin Gelfand asked if 3 files in question were open on Josh's personal devices, and Michelle Bush said no. She testified that she looked for them. She said 2 files were found, Quiz 1 and Quiz Mommy Amy Duggar King, are not the same files. So those were the 2 files found, Quiz 1 and Quiz Mommy Amy Duggar King, which is really weird. Amy Duggar is his cousin. The Amy Duggar King file was on Josh's MacBook, and the Sun Reporter in the courtroom claimed the prosecution said it could have been on the thumb drive, suggesting that Gelfand tried to debunk that theory today to show someone else plugged into the drive instead. Michelle Bush said the only user on the partition was Dale_1. She said it could be auto-generated because an underscore usually isn't allowed for user-generated names. However, the courtroom Sun Reporter noted that the prosecution proved with their questioning from James Frottrell that the user was not auto-generated, that username was not auto-generated. So Josh's defense, they brought up someone who said, by the name that was used on the partition, it looked like it was probably an auto-generated name. However, the prosecution's expert, James Frottrell, already debunked that and said that that name was not an auto-generated name. Michelle Bush then recreated the process that the HP computer went through from May 14th through the 15th back in 2019. When she tried to sign up for the Linux, the computer displayed an error when she tried to use the Dale_1 username. It said the username should only have lowercase numbers or dashes, which could show the username must have been auto-generated. Gelfand noted that no Dell computer was seized in this case. And this was basically his attempt to suggest that the username was auto-generated and the mystery thumb drive was put into a computer before the partition was installed and could have come from a Dell computer, which Josh Duggar does not have. Gelfand then moved on to the router that connected to the HP computer in the car lot. The expert Michelle Bush explained the wires connected from the router to the device through the internet she could not examine because it was not seized. She called the router extremely important because it hosted the IP addresses and they could know what devices were connected to it and how often. Bush said routers contain logs and store both live data and memory. She then went on to explain that the Linux already had a transmission program. The transmission program would allow access to the dark web. Bush walked the court through a demonstration and opened transmission, went to Firefox, looked for a torrent download of a movie, and showed that it wanted to open via transmission, which was the default. On Josh Duggar's MacBook, it was explained that transmission was installed in 2017 and was used to download a Hollywood film. In the case of the Linux partition in question, it had Tor, a torrent program, and a VLC installed. Gelfand's possible argument could be that Josh Duggar had used the transmission in the past and he could be trying to question what reasoning would it be for Duggar to download other similar programs with the same goal. So he had downloaded it in the past to watch, just a regular movie. So if he had this program, which he could have used, why download a similar program just to be able to access the dark web when he already has a program that will? Basically, that's what the defense is trying to say. After the prosecution objected to Justin Gelfand's question a few times, the judge called for a break until 1:40. Now, it is 2:40 where I live, so it's been about an hour. These are the last updates that I can find. It's up to the lunch break. So tonight when I go live, I will give an update of what happened from the lunch break on until 5 p.m. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and make sure you are on the lookout for me going live this evening. Sometimes YouTube does not send out those notifications, but just to try to be sure that you will catch it, make sure you hit that bell. We now do know that if Jill is called up, she is on the witness list, Jill and Jedediah, it will be for the defense, which I was starting to lean that way because Derek has been to the trial and he has actually been sitting with Anna Duggar every day at this trial, which made me start wondering, how would Anna Duggar feel towards Derek if she knew that Jill was actually testifying for the prosecution? So the fact that they were talking, they were sitting together, it did start making me wondering if she was actually going to be there for the defense. And that's what it looks like, you guys. Not sure if they're going to be calling her up today, but it looks like it could be a possibility. If not today, I'm definitely assuming by tomorrow, Jill will be called up to the stand to be questioned by the defense as well as the prosecution. I will be keeping you guys updated on that as well. I will be giving updates every day, every evening. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you guys think so far about the defense and what they've called up, what they've brought up, and what their theory seems to be in regards to trying to make it appear that this is not Josh Duggar looking at this content? Let me know your thoughts. Give the video a thumbs up. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.